Hi Internet, here's my Matchbox disclaimer. I'm not your attorney without a signed contract and payment of my fees. This video is for information purposes only. So this issue keeps coming up in a lot of my cases, and it is fraud. And having to explain to people that some of the ideas that they may come up with in regards to a pending divorce could be conceived as fraud. So I thought I'd just do a general video for anybody who's wondering, am I committing fraud in my divorce? So we're strictly talking about the divorce context. And the dictionary defines fraud as wrongful or criminal deception intended to result in financial or personal gain. I'm not even going to mention the most famous fraud case that's happening right now. You can Google it and look at it later. I will say, though, that if you're in the middle of a divorce and you think that fraud is a good possible strategy, keep in mind that the most famous fraud case right now involves a very powerful person, and they are still being investigated and prosecuted with fraud. So if you think that you're going to get away with it, just maybe think again. So a lot of examples of fraud I get are, can I transfer money to my parents from our marital accounts? Nope, that's fraud. Can I transfer property, real property, like a house or a condo, to my parents or a friend? Nope, that's fraud. Another one is years and years and years ago, we had a case where one of the parties had a bunch of liens and judgments against them. And what they ended up doing is they stopped paying on their house, and then they allowed the house to go into foreclosure. And I need to say, I had no idea that they were doing this and this was their plan. I actually found out after I had concluded my work in their case. But essentially, they let the house go on the auction block, and then they had some friends buy the house for them with, at that point, all the judgments and all the liens were all gone and disappeared, and then they retook ownership. Okay, that's fraud with a capital F and a capital R and a capital A and a capital U and a capital D. I do think in the divorce context, people really, I don't think they're intentionally trying to commit fraud, but it does come up a lot. Another example of fraud is if your hearing is on October 5th, and if you say to a court that you don't have any ability to take a loan or get money for whatever cause, and then if you end up closing on a loan after October 5th, that's fraud. Because what it means is that you gave statements to the court, whether it's bank statements or mortgage statements, whatever it is, and you've showed that you have like a certain level of income or assets, and then right after, you became all of a sudden financially solvent. That's fraud. And it goes the same with like bonuses. I get that question all the time. My bonus is normally paid out in March, but since our trial's in March, can I have my company pay it in August? Nope, that's fraud. And most companies are not going to do that. I think that kind of stuff happens in like small mom and pop operations where maybe the employer thinks they're being helpful, but they're actually committing fraud. So I think that's something, these are just a few examples. I know there's so many more, but I just wanted people to understand that my job as a divorce attorney, and I've said this in my other video about crimes, right? I do not want to commit crimes with you. I am not going to go to jail with any of my clients. I'm not going to jail for my clients. I do not think I would do well in jail or prison. So when I have clients that are asking me questions, I think it's important for your divorce attorney to be well-versed in the law and to have an understanding that fraudulent transactions prior to divorce, such as some I've named, right? Putting assets in a third party or putting assets in a trust or, signing over titles, all of that is fraud. And even if it happens right before a divorce, if you're doing it because you're trying to hide assets from your spouse, it's fraud. And another note is, it's only on TVs and movies where somebody gets away with, funneling their marital estate to, the Cayman Islands. In the real world, understand everything is traceable. There is always a trace. And I think with the exception of maybe cryptocurrency and maybe digital assets, if the bulk of your estate is traditional, right? A house, retirement, bank accounts, you cannot successfully commit fraud. You just can't. Your spouse will get a forensic accountant, they'll look at documents, they'll look at tax returns, and it's just not a good idea morally, ethically, but it's also a stupid idea criminally because you will get caught and there will be repercussions. So I hope this helps if you're thinking of committing fraud. And before you do any transactions or transfer assets, my best advice is talk to a divorce attorney before you do anything like that so you can make sure you are not committing fraud. So hopefully your takeaway will be that fraud is bad. Have a good day. Stay safe. It is a weird world out there.